Hello everyone and welcome. We are Group 2 of English 3 of the Metropolitan University, and in this video we are going to explain about the past perfect and past perfect continuous. I am Nelly Janji and my classmates Manuel Ferreira and Luis Fernandez. So let's get started. To know how to formulate the sentences, we must be clear about certain rules of the verbs, like this: stative verbs and mixed verbs. So, stative verbs are verbs that cannot be used continuously, and these are opinion verbs: agree, think, believe, disagree, feel, doubt, depend, understand, know, and another ones. Verbs about likes: like, dislike, prefer, love, hate. Verbs of possession: have, possess, belong, own, owe, lack, include, involve. And verbs of necessity: need, want, wish, deserve. And perception verbs like sound, hear, taste, see, smell, imagine, recognize, satisfy. We have here an example. She wasn't agreeing with us. Agreeing is not the correct form. So we have to say she didn't agree with us. That's the correct form. Another example is he is deserving to pass the exam. We cannot say deserving. The correct form is he deserves to pass the exam. So, we already know which are the verbs that cannot be used continuously, but there is always an exception, and these are the mixed verbs. They are verbs that can be formulated as static verbs, but also as dynamic verbs. What I mean by this: for example, I have a job. It is a static verb that refers to possession. But also, we can use that verb to say, are you having a good time? Now, can you see the difference? Let's see these examples. Verb to think: I think it is wrong to smoke. I'm thinking about buying a new car. Verb to be: she is friendly. She is being friendly. Verb to see: I see what you mean. I'm seeing Mary this afternoon. Verb to taste: the food tastes good. The cook is tasting the food. Verb to mind: I don't mind if we watch a movie tonight. I'm minding my own business. Now that we know the difference between stative and mixed verbs, let's see what the past perfect is. Past perfect. We use past perfect when we are talking about two past actions that occurred at different times in the past. The oldest action goes in the past perfect. For example, in this graph, we can see that at 12 p.m. Carla doesn't have lunch, but we can also see that at 11 a.m. she ate a sandwich. If I want to explain why she didn't have lunch, I can do it as long as I say the oldest action in the past perfect. So, Carla didn't have lunch because she had eaten a sandwich before. Had eaten is in past perfect. So now let's see signal words. We have already, just, and never. When I arrived, the class had already begun. I had just put the washing out when it started to rain. They were in shock because they had never thought about it before. So we have here another example. In 2016, I worked in Panama City. In 2018, I work in Managua, and in 2021, I start to work in San Jose. The correct way to explain this is by putting the oldest action in past perfect. And it looks like this. Before accepting the job in San Jose, I had worked in Managua and Panama City. So now we can see had worked is in past perfect. Another example is we had loved each other for 20 years. Okay, you must be careful to always put the oldest action in the past perfect. Well, now Manuel Ferreira will explain the structure of the past perfect.
Hello, my name is Manuel Ferreira, and I am going to talk about the grammar structure of past perfect. As you can see in affirmative form, you have to make an subject plus had plus past participle of main verb plus complement, and these are a few examples of this affirmative form. I had worked for my uncle. Subject I had worked, it's the past participle of main verb, and for my uncle is the complement. She is the subject, had had finished, past participle of main verb, and her homework is a complement. And in we is the subject, had. Talked is past participle of main verb, and for more than 2 hours is a complement. Now, in negative form, you have to make a subject plus hadn't plus past participle of main verb plus complement. For example, you had not studied hard. You, subject, had not, hadn't, studied, past participle of main verb, and hard is a complement. She had not done her homework, so she was sad. She is the subject, had not, it's hadn't, done her homework is the past participle of main verb, and so she was sad is the complement. He, subject, had not is the hadn't, lived, past participle of main verb, and in Florida is the complement. Now, in interrogative form, we have to make a sentence with had plus subject plus past participle of main verb plus complement plus the interrogation mark. For example, had you returned to university? Had, had you the subject returned to, no, sorry, return is the past participle of main verb, and to university is a complement, and here is the interrogation mark. Had he left when I went to the club? Had, had, he is the subject, left is the past participle of main verb, and when I went to the club is the complement, and the interrogation mark. Had she finished the project by the time we came? Had, she is the subject, finished is the past participle of main verb, and the project by the time we came is the complement and the interrogation mark. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna explain past perfect continuous. Past perfect continuous is a verb tense which is used to show that an action started in the past and continue up to another point in the past. And difference between past perfect continuous and present perfect continuous. And Past perfect and past perfect continuous are so different. Each tense have different proposites and uses. Unlike the present perfect continuous, which indicates an action that began in the past and continue up to the present. The past perfect continuous is a verb tense that indicates something that began in the past, continue in the past, and also ended at a defined point in the past. We have three sign words of past perfect continuous. We have how long, since, and for. In this slide, we have a little representation of past perfect continuous. We have the blue arrow that represent the time, and we have the three green arrows that are the one is the present or now, other is the past action, the past, and the other is the action in progress in the past. We can explain the past perfect continuous with two examples. One of these examples are, he have been driving for 2 hours. The man did an action in the past, began an action in the past, and this action ended in a specific point in the past. Then we have another example that is, she had been trying to open the door. And this example, we can explain that in a different form that the girl began to open the door in the past. This girl during a different time, and then in a specific point in the past, this girl opened the door. Then I'm gonna explain grammar structure past perfect continuous. In past perfect continuous, we have three different forms. We have affirmative form, negative form, and interrogative form. I'm gonna explain these three forms. First, affirmative form. The structure is subject plus had been plus ing form plus complement. We have three examples to explain this form. The first is, I have been bringing sandwiches to work for years. The second one is, I could see that he had been crying. And the third one, she had been seeing him for a few years before they broke up. Then we have the negative form, the opposite of affirmative form. The structure of negative form is subject plus having been plus ing form and plus complement. The samples are, they hadn't been speaking to each other for years. The second one is, they hadn't been taking good care of their health. And finally, my dog hadn't been sleeping well before he died. And the difference between affirmative and negative have the word not. In negative form, we have the contraction had not, that is hadn't. And in affirmative form, we don't use not. And finally, we have the interrogative form, that the structure is had plus subject plus being plus ing form plus complement and plus interrogative sign. We have 4 examples to do a question in past perfect continuous. We have, had you been playing soccer? Had you been working? Had you been traveled around the world? And achieving volume. These are the examples and the different structure that we can find in past perfect continuous.
And now to finish this presentation, here are some exercises that will help you to understand the past perfect versus past perfect continuous. There are two parts of them and is in on a Google form that you have on the description of the video. And all you have to do is put your name and answer the questions. Here are some questions that you have to answer. And I hope you like the video and thanks for your attention.